Hello Podcats, Geoff Gascoigne here, hope you're well. Today I'm in Holland, actually. I'm part of the way through a tour. I've taken this advantage to talk to an old friend, Steve Fishwick, who's a great trumpet player, who's playing with the band that I'm playing with Matt Bianco this evening. And it was a good opportunity in the dressing room to sit down and have a little chat about the trumpet, about bebop, about influences, and loads of other stuff like that. So here we go.
The Quartet Jazz Standards podcast is brought to you by the Quartet app for iOS, taking your jazz play along to another level.
Hi Steve, how are you today?
Pretty good.
Can you just tell me a bit about how you got started, what your influences were, and how you first started improvising?
I guess it's the usual story, started playing trumpet when I was 8 at school and free lessons and stuff, and I had a really great teacher. He was great because his enthusiasm was really, really great, and he was really infectious, so...
Makes a difference, that, doesn't it?
Massively, yeah. And he was just really curious about music. But it was kind of strictly classical lessons. I think he used to play with a Halle orchestra, but by the time I started studying with him, he was kind of at the end of his career, I guess, and he was just teaching. But he hadn't lost any of his enthusiasm for music, strictly classical lessons, and he took me through my grades and stuff like that. I guess I started getting into jazz when I was about 13, so I started playing when I was 8, and then by the time I was about 12, 13 or something, it was the time of the late 80s, early 90s was the jazz boom in the UK, and when I talk to my students about it these days, they look at me like I'm crazy, but I mean, you'll remember, how it was everywhere. It was all over the media and in the newspapers, on the TV all the time. Courtney Pine and Tommy Smith and the Jazz Warriors and Andy Shepherd, and it was like a hit, fashionable thing. They were kind of showing stuff on the TV like old jazz 65s, and there's a bunch of documentaries on the BBC about Wynton Marsalis, and it was just like, wow, what is this music, jazz, and they're making it up, they're improvising. How are they doing that? So I was just curious about it. A lot of classical, especially at that time, a lot of classical players would kind of look down on jazz and kind of, oh no, especially trumpet teachers said, oh, you don't want to mess with jazz, it'll mess up your sound or whatever, or it'll mess up your... He was just as enthusiastic about it and curious about it, and as we were, my brother as well, because my brother's a drummer, but he was getting into it too. But I remember going to hear Dizzy Gillespie at the Free Trade Hall, and my teacher was there.
That's Manchester, right? That's where you grew up, right?
In Manchester, yeah. My teacher, his name was John Crosdale. He was at the concert as well, and in the next lesson a couple of days later, he brought the programme from the concert, and it'd been signed by Dizzy Gillespie and Arturo Sandoval, and he'd gone backstage and chatted to Arturo and Dizzy about trumpet and stuff, and he gave us the programme to keep.
That's nice. How nice.
Yeah, he was a great guy.
So how did you start improvising then? What was your first steps?
Oh gosh, it was just like groping in the dark. I guess there were summer schools like Wavendon Summer School, and we kind of found out about that and went on that and stuff. And there was a record shop called Decoy Records in Manchester, and that was really great because it was a really, really good record shop. So we used to go there and spend all our money there and get a bunch of records and listen to them over and over, and then go back a few months later and get more. But actually playing, I remember sending off to Jazzwise catalogue for just books like Jamie Abersole play-alongs and stuff like that, and trying to decipher the scales. Remember they used to write the scales out. They had the scales syllabus.
A glossary, wasn't there, with all these written modes and stuff, wasn't it, as well?
Yeah, but they used to write out the scales. They had the chords written out, and then they'd write out the scales and stuff, and I was trying to decipher that, and it just wasn't really working, because
like a dictionary, wasn't it, or something?
Yeah, you just end up going up and down the scales, and it doesn't sound very good, and you could kind of gradually piece it together. And I remember going to Wavendon and just asking people questions. I remember a couple of light bulb moments where I remember going to Jim Tomlinson at the end of a class and asking him, like, what should I do? What should I practice? And he just told me to, like, arpeggiate the chords in time so that I could kind of get them in my brain. And that really, really helps.
Yeah.
And the other one was Steve Waterman just showing me all these transcriptions that he'd done himself, like, and written down. So I went away and did that. And it was probably, I'm sure I made like loads and loads of mistakes, but just the process of doing it really, really helps. And then from that, the mist started to clear a little bit. But it was just kind of getting on that path of figuring out how, just some basics, really.
And did you start transcribing yourself then?
I did, yeah. Yeah, I just started transcribing stuff myself and, like, you know, probably stuff that was way too hard, but a bit of Lee Morgan and Clifford Brown and you know, I probably couldn't play. I'm sure I couldn't play it all, but I could play some of it. So it was, and then you start, I don't know, you start putting licks in different places, and kind of felt after doing that, kind of started feeling fairly natural because I listened a lot. That was the thing. I used to listen to jazz all day long, so it was. I think that was my saving grace, really. That's why I was never really a very good classical player, because I didn't really listen to enough of it for it to seep in. You know.
I remember the first time I met you. You probably don't remember, but you were at the academy. And I was a teacher there at the time. I remember assessing a class that you were in.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, and your year at the academy was a really strong year. There was Lando Fleming, Tom Corley,
Gareth Locke.
Gareth Locke Crane.
Ocean Roberts, my brother.
And your brother. I mean, it was a great year, wasn't it?
It was. Yeah, we were lucky to be in that year. Yeah, it was a very strong year.
The thing I remember about that is it was a Wayne Shorter project.
Oh, right.
You're all playing Wayne Shorter music, and it was just brilliant. It was.
Oh, really?
Whether it was maybe it was a third year or so. I don't remember, but it was a really high level.
I'm pretty sure I didn't know exactly what was going on in the music.
Yeah.
You know, but
didn't sound like
got away with it, maybe.
Yeah. So that would have been the 90s, right? So you moved into
94
London.
to 98.
Yep. Yeah.
We were at the academy. Yeah.
Right. How was that experience?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, I think it's a lot different back then to how it is now. You know, all those people that you mentioned. I think, like, learning as much from being around people like that, you know, and kind of learning together. Yeah, I think we all learned a hell of a lot from each other, as well as from teachers as well. But it was, it was a great experience. And coming to London and stuff, I really took it for granted at the time. But in the first year, we were me and my brother were living at student accommodation just behind the academy. So we walked to Ronnie Scott's and stay there all night and then walk home.
That's amazing.
You know, go and see, like, Cedar Walton or Elvin Jones or someone. You know what it was like.
And in those days, I mean, Ronnie Scott's, it was like £1 to get in, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was ridiculously cheap, yeah.
I mean, that was the days when you could play for a week there, couldn't you?
Everyone was playing there for a week or sometimes 2 or sometimes a month or something.
Yeah, I know.
Like Aerto would be there for a month.
Did you start to run your own band around that time?
At some point, I started writing quite a lot of music and stuff, and that was kind of a good learning process. But I didn't really start my own bands. I mean, I guess I had my own bands, but when I was at college, I never really did any gigs. I didn't really feel in a rush to, like, put a CD out or, like, to be out doing loads of gigs and stuff. It felt a bit more relaxed. Like, nowadays, everybody is like, they've got to, like, do it now, you know, because there's, I guess, way more competition, probably a lot harder.
But you were working, were you? You were doing...
Not when I was at college, no. I mean, I when I left college, it was... I mean, I was lucky because my brother was doing quite a lot of gigs by the time he left. So I used to kind of go to his gigs and sit in and stuff, and that's how I met a lot of people, really. Yeah. And from that, I started kind of slowly building up, you know, work from that. So thanks, Matt. But, you know,
people who don't know you, you're twins, aren't you?
We are twins. Yeah.
Are you identical twins?
Yeah.
I know all about twins. I have twins myself. Yeah. Do you have a special twin thing when you play together? Do you feel anything special when you're playing with your brother?
I mean, I don't know if it's like some telepathy thing, but it's just like we've heard a lot of the same music and kind of grown up. Yeah. You know, listening, interaction happens that way because there's like a communication there. Yeah. You know.
What about teaching? At what point did that become a part of your life? Did you enjoy teaching?
I mean, I take it seriously. I take it very, very seriously, and I do feel like as a teacher, if you're going to teach somebody, you have a commitment to those students. I feel like I have to do my best for them. You know, they're relying on you. You know, to help them. So I do take it very seriously, and I've thought a lot about it since I started teaching.
Whereabouts do you teach now?
Well, mainly at Leeds conservatoire, but I teach at Trinity and a tiny bit at the Academy and at Birmingham and a tiny bit at the Guildhall.
Do you do a lot of preparation for students?
Now, because I've been doing it for like 12 years, I've got a lot of resources, you know, on the computer or whatever, so it's kind of, I have to do less. But I still think about it a lot and think about like certain students and what the best approach might be and stuff like that. And also I think with my own struggles with the instrument and stuff and trying to overcome those things, I feel like I've had probably every problem going, like with the trumpet, like embouchure changes and, you know, issues with breathing and, you know, all this kind of stuff. So somehow like overcome it and found a way, you know, figured out by asking people that you come across, asking different, either people that I'm playing with or people that, you know, American musicians or whoever, people that you respect, or older musicians or whoever, you know, even sometimes people younger, you know. That,
What's some of the best advice that you've got about the trumpet then?
The best advice about the trumpet, I did some gigs with Lou Soloff years ago with a big band, with Pete Long's big band, Gillespiana it was called, playing the music of Dizzy Gillespie, and he kind of took me aside and told me some stuff, and I kind of picked his brains, and just in about an hour or something of conversation with him, and he was like, he gave me so much information in that hour.
Really?
That I went away and investigated.
What's like what? What sort of information?
Well, he told me, he gave me like one breathing exercise, but he told me about this school of brass teaching from the Chicago Symphony Orchestra, this guy called Arnold Jacobs, who was a tuba player, he was an expert in breathing. And I went and bought the book and got pretty obsessed with it all, actually, and bought all these breathing devices and stuff like that, and kind of...
Breathing devices, what's that?
Yeah, like stuff that you use to kind of take your brain away from what you're doing with your respiratory system physiologically, so that it can just do what it's designed to do without your brain getting in the way.
Wow.
Just like little simple things, like a little plastic chamber with a ping pong ball inside it, and when you breathe, you're supposed to keep the ping pong ball at the top of the chamber and not let it
to keep
fall.
A constant breath,
yeah,
presumably.
like and inhalation and exhalation, things like that. And one of the things he said was, you know, you can criticise anybody on any instrument, but why would you do that? Everybody's got their strong points and everybody does something well. He said you could criticise Wynton Marsalis or you could criticise whoever, you know, but what's the point? He was basically saying, like, look on the positive side of everybody's playing. And the other thing was, he just said, don't get up every day and think it's a competition. Don't try and play better than anybody else. You get up every day and you play this thing to the best of your ability because you love to play it. And that's the reason why you should be doing it. Yeah. And I thought that was kind of sage advice, really.
It's funny you should say that, because I started playing guitar in lockdown. I feel exactly the same way about that. Actually, I just get up and I have no desire to go and do gigs or anything like that. I just want to get better. And just the joy of playing it. Do you feel like that about the trumpet?
I would happily sit at home and practice trumpet every day, you know. I mean,
great.
I guess at some point I would get frustrated because I want to go and do a gig. I love sitting at home
just
practicing.
the joy of making music.
Yeah, I love it, yeah.
Fantastic. And now you have something to practice with, right?
That is very true.
You just bought an iPad.
So, you know, my early days of trying to learn how to improvise and stuff with the Jamie... I mean, there was nothing like this around. The closest thing was a Jamie Aebersold, but you would have to spend an absolute fortune to buy that many Jamie Aebersold play-along records.
I know. So, of course, we're talking about the Quartet apps, of course, for anyone who doesn't know. So, any particular tunes you like?
Well, the only one I can really think of is Stella by Starlight at the moment.
Sure, all right. Right, so you're going to play two choruses, and you're going to improvise on two choruses of Stella by Starlight. Yeah.
Something like that.
Great. Does it feel natural to play with with that track?
Good. I like the way it went from 2 into 4 there.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course it's a band, yeah, but if you
yeah.
play it on a gig or something,
Yeah.
or a jam session,
Yeah.
without naming the other app that you can play along with, I mean, you're not going to get that on iReal, it's things like that, just little details like that.
Yeah. On most of these standards, you'll find that. So you probably remember this from the recording session. So first chorus is in 2-feel, and second chorus is in 4-feel, which is kind of like going up through the gears, isn't it?
Yeah,
and then if you want to loop that, it'll loop just the second half.
Right, yeah. Great.
Which is 2. So which is kind of feels natural because it wouldn't kind of naturally go back to 2.
You could loop the first one as well, right?
You could, yeah, you could.
So you could like practice playing in 2 and practice playing in 4, which is great.
Sure, yeah. Let's talk about Stella by Starlight for a minute. It's just an odd tune, isn't it? It's a tricky tune.
It's a weird one.
Yeah. Because it's kind of in B flat, isn't it? But the first chord is E half diminished.
Apparently, the original B flat diminished is the first chord.
Yeah. I remember hearing the original version, actually. It's from a movie, isn't it?
Actually, the harmony is very different. I don't know where these standards, like where they come from. I think a lot of them are what the chords that Miles plays.
It's the Miles effect, isn't it? He when he played standard, he kind of bastardised it a lot of changes, didn't he?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Was there any particular things that you were thinking of when you were playing that? Were you
trying to remember what the chords were? No, but other than like the odd thing about, where's the next cadence going or whatever, just little things like that.
Do you tend to think in full cadences like 2-5-1, or do you separate the 5s from the 1s, or how do you?
I think it's a good idea, or for me, I find it helpful to think about the same thing in maybe 2 or 3 different ways. So, like for example, that first 2-5, or even those descending 2-5s at the end. Mm-hmm. Like you just said, you can think of it like a 2-5, so you can play the 2 chord, then the 5, or you can just think of the dominant and just play it like one big dominant.
Yeah.
I think I played like some triad pairs on the dominant or something, or you can play it like a scale.
Can you show me what the triad pairs were?
On the A7 there, so you got like A7. In concert, I'd be playing an A augmented.
Yeah.
And the other major triad that's a tritone away, so E flat, so A augmented and E flat. In B flat, for a B flat instrument, I'd be playing
take that out now,
B and F.
Yeah.
So I'd be going like this, I'd go through the inversion, so like this, so, but I'd go through the inversion, so. It's like an A altered, so.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, sounds like jazz already, doesn't it? Just by putting those triads together.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Are you a particular fan of using licks?
Yeah, like stole loads and loads of vocabulary and licks and stuff. Yeah, and there was a point where I was stealing licks and trying to fit them in. I mean, I don't do that so much anymore, but it was definitely a huge, important learning curve. But really, I'm just trying to not think of anything and just, other than the melody, that the solo and hearing stuff in my head, and then just trying to do that in real time, trying to play.
If someone were to say to you, can you play like Lee Morgan or can you play like Dizzy Gillespie, would there be certain things that you would play that would indicate the style of those trumpet players?
Yeah. I mean, there's certain people that I've studied a lot. And sometimes it can kind of depend on the type of tune. If I was playing a Kenny Wheeler tune, for example, it'd be hard to sound like Lee Morgan, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if it's like a shuffle blues, then it's a lot easier to kind of get into that, into that kind of mindset.
Right.
But yeah, there are certain, if the tune kind of calls for that, I can definitely like turn on like a Blue Mitchell thing or a Lee Morgan or Kenny Dorham or something.
Well, I know Lee Morgan, for example, there's lots of twiddles, aren't there? Lots of
like effects and half valve smears and false fingering and stuff. Yeah, there's kind of tricks.
Can you show us a couple of those?
I mean, he did things like, he kind of do like triple tonguings, like he kind of do things like, things like that, yeah. Or he'd go, this kind of like a lot of kind of bluesy stuff, or like.
So you're talking about Lee Morgan, right?
Yeah, I'm talking about
Yeah.
Lee Morgan. Yeah. This kind of stuff. Do things like that. He kind of like had a shouting kind of style, very outgoing kind of. Sounded like he was like an outgoing kind of personality, which for me I'm more of an introvert, so it was like, but I think it was good for me to kind of study his playing and really try to, even though it was kind of uncomfortable at first, it was good for me to kind of do that.
That's interesting.
Sometimes I get students, I think I stole this idea from, might have been from Dave Lehman or someone, to kind of, for them to get, if they get really into one thing, like Lee Konitz or something, or then try and get them to transcribe somebody who's like completely different to the way they play, because they're definitely going to get.
Here's a slightly odd question, but do you think it's difficult for an introvert to actually get out and play solos? Being a soloist is a very extrovert kind of thing to do, really, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Yeah, I mean, even now I kind of find it a bit difficult. I love playing so much. That's the overriding thing. I love getting with a band and playing music. I don't think I'm really one of those people that likes to be centre of attention. Which is
maybe why you don't lead your own band so much, because that takes a lot of balls, doesn't it, to stand up and run your own band. I know what it's like. I mean, I used to struggle as well running. I used to run my own band as well.
Yeah. I don't like that aspect of it so much, but I just a lot of the reason why I do it is just for the music and the joy of playing.
All right, I've got a few questions just to finish off, which I ask everybody. And the first question is, what's your favourite album?
That's impossible.
When I ask you that question, first thing that comes to your mind?
I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind is like Kind of Blue or something. Yeah. Because, I mean, it's probably the album. But that's such a boring answer, isn't it?
Yeah, but it was influential on so many people. I mean, everyone says that. What about on a technical level? Was there things that you studied, that you transcribed a lot?
I think there's certain solos. I think, like, the moaning solo, Lee Morgan, on that Art Blakey album.
They're kind of legendary, those albums, aren't they?
All that stuff. I don't know. I mean, it sounds like that's all I listen to is like old stuff, and I guess that's my main influences are all like the greats. But I do listen to more contemporary stuff too, and try and keep abreast of what's going on now. But I do think it's important for people to at least know the history of their instrument, the trumpet, and know, well, from Louis Armstrong. I mean, I'm not no Louis Armstrong expert, but I do love to listen to Louis Armstrong and Bix Beiderbecke and through the swing era and stuff.
Have you ever transcribed or studied that stuff, early stuff?
Yeah. I mean, there's people that can do it really, really well, like Pete Horsfall and Miguel Garodi sounds amazing at it. And there's this young guy, Lewis Taylor, who's like, it's just his natural. I am with bebop. He's like that with like that kind of swing to bebop style, and it just sounds authentic with him.
I was with Pete Horsfall last week actually. He played on my library thing, which was an early jazz thing, and I was watching him and I was thinking about that because it's the vibrato, isn't it?
Yeah, like a different sound, like a shake almost.
It's a little shake, That comes from the lips, doesn't it? But physically moving the instrument around.
People do it different ways. I mean, the old school way of doing it is like, actually shaking the instrument. Yeah. And some people did it with their lips, I think. Yeah. It's not something that style I don't feel comfortable with. I always feel like I'm faking it. It doesn't feel like it's my natural. Yeah. I love listening to it, and I love hearing people do it. Yeah. Yeah. And it always really impresses me when I hear people do it really well,
So the second question is there a favourite musician, alive or dead, that you would like to play with?
Yeah, loads. Loads of them, yeah. I don't know if I can name one. I mean, there's a whole load of trumpet players I wish I'd have seen live, like, all the ones I mentioned, Blue Mitchell and... I mean, I would love to have played with McCoy Tyner, because I think that he play any style. He could play bebop, he could play just straight down the line blues, he could play like modal. He could kind of go in any direction. And I mean, it would be absolutely terrifying to play with him, but I feel like no matter what you would do, he would just kind of
just help and support you
with you.
So has there been a highlight of your career so far?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's been high points. Yeah, I mean, I played with Anita O'Day a little bit. in London and in New York. You know, I got to meet Bob Cranshaw and play with him a little bit. And my brother, he lived in New York for a while, and he was kind of mentored by Bob. So I got to kind of play with him a little bit and hang out with him. And recorded with Cedar Walton and Peter Washington. And I can't really believe that we had, you know, the courage to kind of approach him and stuff. But that was amazing.
How did that affect your playing and your attitude? Did you raise your game to match theirs?
Well, it's funny, I don't sit and listen to my own recordings very much, but I did put it on the other day. I don't know why, someone was talking about it or something. I thought I'd check it out, and I was pleasantly surprised. Right. You know, it was. I mean, I wish I could go back and do it again now. You know, because I think I played.
What's the name of the album?
It's called the Ocean Roberts Steve Fishwick Quintet meets Cedar Walton. I mean, it's on YouTube and Spotify and stuff.
Fabulous. Where did you do it in London?
No, in New York at Nola's Penthouse Studios.
What experience?
Did a couple of tours with Hod O'Brien, who's kind of a lesser-known bebop piano player, but he replaced Bill Evans in the Oscar Pettiford band in the 50s, and that was amazing. He was like the nicest guy on the planet and an incredible piano player. Played with the WDR big band a few times with people like Ron Carter and Jimmy Heath and Peter Erskine and Dick Oates and Terrell Stafford.
Wow, you've done some great things.
So it was, you know, things like that are, I mean, so lucky, you know. Yeah, like some definite highlights.
Amazing.
Yeah.
What was the last concert you attended?
I've been going to quite a lot of classical music concerts recently. I think I went to see the London Philharmonic, and they played the Alban Violin Concerto, and then they did a Brahms symphony. And I thought I was going to enjoy the Berg more than the Brahms, but it was the other way around. So it's funny sometimes.
Those Brahms symphonies are so melodic, aren't they?
Yeah, and they played it so well as well. They just played the
Where
hell out
Where
of
did
the
you see
Brahms.
that?
It was at the World Festival.
Nice.
Yeah.
What would you say is your musical weakness?
Like I was saying before, like, you know, people who can play like an early style. I wish I could kind of do that. And also, I'm not that great at playing lead trumpet. You know, there's kind of like a new generation of guys like Tom Walsh and James Coperton, people like, and Jim Davidson, who can kind of do both. They can play really good jazz and they can play really great lead as well. And I kind of wish I could. I've got better at it. I can kind of fake it, but it doesn't come naturally to me.
Right.
I'd much prefer sitting there third or fourth and following somebody else rather than like being the guy who's leading the whole thing. You know.
Yeah. Do you ever get nervous on stage?
It's rare, but yeah, sometimes. But I think if I do get nervous, it's more like good nerves. You know, it's more excitement than
Adrenaline.
nerves. Yeah.
What's your favourite sandwich?
My favourite sandwich. Well, you can't beat a bacon sandwich, can you?
You can't, no. What about a favourite movie? Do you watch many movies?
I used to watch loads, yeah, but I don't so much anymore. But the last one I watched when David Lynch died, I kind of went on a bit of a mission to see the ones that I hadn't seen, and I watched, what's that one about that jazz saxophone player? Someone breaks into his house and they take videos of him and his wife sleeping. And
I don't think I've seen that one.
And then they post the video to them through the mailbox, and they're watching it, and it really obviously really freaks them out, and it gets really, really weird. It was quite a good one. It's quite a good
Cool.
one. The music's not very good in it though.
What's your favourite venue to play in?
Just give me a kind of a filthy jazz club somewhere, just some basement somewhere, you know, that's relaxed and not uptight and not you know, I'm not that bothered about playing some super prestigious place. I mean, it's nice to play in places that are respected and stuff, but I'm quite happy just playing in some basement somewhere.
Yeah.
You know.
What about a favourite country or a favourite city to visit?
I mean, New York's like the obvious choice, but then with all the stuff going on in America and stuff, I'm not really. I've got friends there, and it's been a while since I've been, but it's just an exciting place, isn't it? I mean, I like Germany. I'm not so keen on Berlin. I like Munich and.
I like Holland too. I always like coming here.
Yeah, I've not been to Holland very much.
Right.
So,
We're going to Amsterdam tomorroh, so.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
It's a great city, isn't it?
Yeah.
One last question, and it is, what's your favourite chord?
My favourite chord? Oh man, but it depends where it's going though, like what's before and
In the
after.
context, yeah.
I don't know, like when I write music these days, I kind of use that, like a -7 chord, but with a flat 6. I mean, it's in the scale of just like a natural minor, but if you actually put like the 9 and the flat 6 in there with the 3rd and the 7th,
Yeah.
it can sound pretty cool.
Yeah. Okay. Do you play piano?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, not very well, like composers
Yeah.
piano. Or
So
whatever.
you've studied sort of harmony on piano and voicings and so on. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things that I wish I had more time to sit down and really practice. But yeah. I mean, I kind of know what I want to play, but I just can't do it in time with a band, But I can sit there and I can,
That's the good thing about composing, is you can do everything in slow motion.
Yeah,
can't you?
exactly. Yeah.
Thanks for your time, Steve.
No worries.
Looking forward to playing with Matt Bianco again this evening.
Be fun.
Thanks a lot, Steve. Bye.
Awesome. Great. It's fun.
Thank you for making it to the end of another podcast. Please subscribe if you want to hear more of them as they land. The Quartet Jazz Standards podcast is a UK music apps production. Quartet for iOS, taking your jazz play along to another level. Search for Quartet on the App Store or find out more at quartetapp.com.